Hidden crisis in China. Why are the Uyghurs drawing Xi Jinping's attention? During his unexpected visit to Xinjiang in August 26th, Chinese President Xi Jinping expressed the importance of preserving the region's quote unquote hard won social stability and intensifying efforts to quote curb illegal religious activities. Contrasting sharply with Xi's portrayal of a quote unquote beautiful Xinjiang, international bodies like the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights have detailed severe human rights abuses against the Uyghur and other Turkic populations. Extensive reports from the OHCHR and Human Rights Watch have documented systematic crimes against humanity, including mass arbitrary detentions, widespread torture, and the suppression of religious and cultural practices. The crackdown, which Beijing labels as a poverty alleviation and anti extremism effort, faces global condemnation. Emphasizing the divide between Beijing's narrative and the global perspective, Kenneth Roth, former Human Rights Watch executive director, commented that Xi's Xinjiang tour signifies a doubling down on his crimes against humanity. So, I wanted to talk about this because we haven't been covering what's been going on in Xinjiang and the situation with the Uyghurs for a long time now. And there was this recent visit of Xi Jinping to Xinjiang, which was seen as very symbolic in many ways. Obviously, going there to kind of show their improvement in the area, and it also shows that this is still very much part of his agenda, and his claims that everything's it's all beautiful and fine over there's nothing to see here. That's kind of how I interpreted it. um and I wanted to pull up one source that I thought was interesting from Human Rights Watch, because there seems to be some evidence that there has been perhaps a slight wind down of the activities against the Uyghurs. Um, Maybe that's not the best way to put it. Um,
I mean, I'm glad to know, because I thought they stopped a lot of it. The fact that I'm glad that you're updating us to show that this is still continuing. So that's, I mean, other people have completely, most other people have completely forgotten about this. So I'm really grateful that you are
mhm.
bringing this again to our attention. Yeah.
Yeah, so the this is from Human Rights Watch, an article. So they're talking about the United Nations reports that came out and how it really validated a lot of the very chilling accusations and allegations that had been coming out for several years. Um, so the article says, so what, if anything, has changed since the publication of the report? Independent journalists who managed to slip into Xinjiang have found that some political re education camps have been closed, although no public tally exists about how many have been shuttered. So it seems like some of the detention centers have been closed. As of mid 2022, Human Rights Watch estimated that close to 500,000 Uyghurs and other Turkic people remained in the prisons. There still is no indication of mass releases from prisons. Many Uyghurs abroad remain unable to get in touch with their families or receive any news about their whereabouts or well being. A Uyghur acquaintance recently told me, quote, to me, Xinjiang is only normal when I can speak with my family again. Some whose loved ones have died learned of their passing months or sometimes years after the fact. Xinjiang residents and tourists from other parts of China have posted bits of information that suggest that local authorities have dialed back on some intrusive security measures, describing fewer police checkpoints and less stringent security checks. But these checks are still frequently performed, especially at hotels and malls. Buying gas still requires drivers to present multiple identification documents and to undergo facial recognition. Um, and then one Uyghur person online says basically, if you look like an ethnic minority, they'll search you at checkpoints. Um, but other online government posts indicate that authorities continue to run a compulsory region wide program known as Funguju, visit, benefit, and gather is what it means. This entails that, oh, this is the program where Chinese officials basically live in a Uyghur home to try
Wow.
to
Yeah,
like sinicize them and also monitor them.
that is insane. Imagine, like, that is so Orwellian. Like, you just have somebody literally living in your home, observing what you're doing and trying to make you accept live by the acceptable government approved culture by having a stranger living in your house and monitoring what you do. That is, you know
And they're like,
nobody.
it's to make sure that ethnic groups are united like a family. And you're like, who is
Oh
this
my
man in
god.
my house? Like,
This is unbelievable. Like, this is so cartoonishly. Like, if this was not real and it was in a storybook, we were like, okay, come on, like, make, like, at least put a camera in their home, like, to make it more believable, rather than somebody actually living with them. Like, look at this. Xi urges more work to control illegal religious activities in Xi Jinping on a surprise visit. And there was another one during his visit Xinjiang, to Xinjiang, Chinese President Xi Jinping. Wow, these are actually sound very much like each other. Said the predominantly Muslim Uyghur region is moving towards unity, harmony, and prosperity. This unity word here sounds so fascist. I don't know if people who are sensitive to fascist ways of fascist propaganda, and to no, to their propaganda to sell, using words like unity and harmony means forcing a culture upon people, forcing people to bend the knee and accept the way of life that the government approves. That's what they mean by unity and harmony. That's such fascist talk. Like, I have such a, I don't know, allergic reaction to this vocabulary, because I recognize it. I mean, anybody who studies history understands that this is fascist propaganda. Asking for harmony and unity is just a fascist code for saying the government approved way of life. That's what this means. Anyway, some comments here. Mariam is saying it seems the big guys like the Chinese can get away with any atrocities in front of anyone's eyes. I don't like how they're saying Chinese, because I don't want, we need to kind of use language that separates the Chinese government from the Chinese people. So, technically these uh, Uyghur Muslims themselves are Chinese themselves, because they're Chinese citizens. So please, maybe it's the CCP. There are a lot of Chinese people that we don't want to group together with, like, group them and hold them responsible for these atrocities. And then another comment by Bart saying, and the Muslim world has not done a thing to help them. Again, this is generalist language. You say, maybe we should say many Islamic governments haven't done anything to help them and have supported them in as well. Like, for example, the Saudi government, the Iranian government, the Pakistani government. But if you say the Muslim world, then that would be very easy to disprove, because I'm pretty sure if you go look into the Muslim world, there will be some examples of some people who are doing something about it. So that's not another general way of talking about this that I don't think is good. And the last comment here that D has highlighted is saying, you just another rotten imperialist tool pushing US propaganda. So he's saying that to the Human Rights Watch, who's highlighting this about
Mhm.
China, accusing the Human Rights Watch of being an imperialist tool of the evil West. And there you go. So that's a comment, I guess, right? Amazing. Uh,
You know, right on time, the tankies never fail to impress.
Do you know who makes the most amazing, gorgeous, and other adjectives that I can't use here on YouTube, blasphemous art ever? We do! And for some reason, we are giving it away for free. Download them now using the link in the description before we change our mind.